This content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained on here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Draper Goren Holm or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever.
Hey everyone, it is me. We are here. Joseph is here too. Say hi, Joseph.
Hey, what's up?
Boom, boom, boom. We're recording.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
I am recording this on the computer now.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Boom. All right. It says it's recording. Boom, 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 boom. I am apparently recording.
The entire bottle of control. They're all exactly the same.
Crypto art, and then what it really is an NFT.
Wow.
Eddie wants to slap the bag.
So this is the next best thing.
DeFi is going to be a bubble.
It's provably scarce.
With Mad Dog.
Crypto, gold, and silver.
Transparent substance.
Take my money, start a war with it.
Without further ado,
Cheers to you, brother.
Get shit on.
Because the system has to collapse before that.
My corona. Cheers. I feel much better now.
Cheers.
wow, that was heavy.
Boom.
That was just interesting. That was like, that's the most amazing intro scrapbook.
I thought it was
I want to like
great,
go through it again a few more times now.
I thought it was a great idea until I played the first clip of all of the booms in a row, and it was like 4 minutes long. That's the pared down version. It still feels like it's like 10 minutes too long, and so I gotta figure it out.
Well,
yeah,
I enjoyed it
and I had the
time,
Pyrex.
so.
Wait, what? I feel like this is supposed to get this way like 15 minutes into a few drinks. But guys, thank you for joining me. I'm so stoked to have you guys on. I'll remember my homework this time. Thank you for joining. We are not just live on Lunar Crush, but also live on Blockchain Radio every single week, which is really, really awesome, and it keeps playing. So thank you so much to our media sponsors, Lunar Crush, Blockchain Radio. Lots of really exciting things in the works. But we've got Kevin on and Chris on. I'm super excited. First off, Chris, I want you to introduce yourself, but Chris was just announced as the CEO of Calumet. So congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't have to introduce myself now because you just did it. But my name's Chris Deschenes. I am the CEO of Calumet, and we're pretty excited about what we're building, and just staying true to who we are. So thank you for having me, and I'm expecting some tough questions today. So I hope they pop up in the chat.
Well, you came to the wrong place. Kevin, tell everyone about yourself, and then we'll jump in.
My name is Kevin. I do DeFi stuff on Tezos, so USD Tez, ETH Tez, BTC Tez, TezX, decentralized exchange, and soon to launch, very, very, very soon, I promise, Tezfin, Tezos Finance, and that's a lending system on Tez that's going to be like Compound or Aave.
That's exciting. When you say very, very, very soon, do you have a time frame? I want to throw something out?
I feel bad with
don't throw them under the bus like that. No, we don't ask time frames. That's not what we do in this space.
It's too like it's more like, I can't do like a countdown clocks or whatever. All it would do is just like make me anxious, and like I can't deal with that. I got to take that. No. Plus, I think it's like, when you do put out updates, it's like, okay, you mean it. If there is a bit of a delay, it's like, okay, well, they wouldn't have announced it unless, all right, maybe something came up. Like they had to do this. It's for safety. It's for just giving like the essential features that everybody's going to want and expect without, going beyond, overboard for the time, because ultimately we need a lending system. That's it. We need to get it out there. I think the tool is going to really take I'm just really more excited to see what people build with it, with the F tokens and all of that. Like that's going to be the really exciting time, because it's like a whole different depth of farms. Farming, just like add another dimension to it, and then take those different dimensions, and then those dimensions have respective relationships with each other. And then, so the amount of combinations of things you can make, different financial instruments, it's endless. But this is like, and even though we'll go through layers and layers more, like this is that last bit of that layer one that like we all have been waiting for, just so that we can make all that other stuff. So I think it's going to be a really momentous time for Tezos, and we're approaching a year anniversary since DeFi really began on Tezos. It's going to be about September 30th. That's when Dexter went live and the first token-to-token FA token pairings started to get traded. That never happened before.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So a year from the first DEX this month, and now we've got, what do we know what the total DeFi, value locked is? There's about 50 million on Plenty alone. But
Still got to do the math. You still got to add it up. I feel like we should have something at this point that just like aggregates it all. But I don't know. Maybe we got to put something out there just because it's like, okay, something like a DeFi Pulse where you could see a cumulative Tezos DeFi TVL. I think there are like those outfits out there that are doing a good job in part. So I think they deserve props for like being the ones to actually go out there and start. So teztools.io.
Yeah, they're great.
There's the Tezos Sandbox. That's great. These are the ones. These are kind of like the bread and butter of any like DeFi people on Tezos. They know exactly what I'm talking about. KeepASwap Analytics. I think we want so much more from it because we rely on it so much and we need it so much. That's why we expect even more. So, and they're going to put out their API soon, which is going to be really great. Like all of these companies are, or I shouldn't call them companies, projects. Are led by people that I think have a really great vision for where this stuff needs to go, because they're using DeFi Pulse, they're using all those different apparati, and they're like, okay, let's bring this over to Tezos. I can do it. But it's also like adaptive to us. So that's what's really cool about Tezos. And in the NFT space too, as Chris well knows, it's like you get to be there at the ground floor at the origins when people are giving that initial wave of feedback after like the first generation of these like NFT stuff came out, and then now you're graduating to the next step of like marketplaces and of products and file formats and all that stuff, and like exhibition, distribution, all of that. It's just a whole new industry, and like you get to be there pretty early. So I think the value add in knowledge is like the best time of being around now.
Yeah.
So these tools are pretty great. People should check those out.
Hey,
I should put
sorry, I'm just totally distracted by this stupid comment. So we go live on Twitter and on YouTube and all that. And by the way, if you're watching on any of those places, come to meet.blockchainboost.io, because you could be hanging with the people backstage, having conversations and jumping in that Q&A and asking questions, so I can throw it at Chris and Kevin in a minute. But somebody posted this really, really important comment on YouTube we should all take a moment to look at. Donald says, you started a cryptocurrency. You are probably going to prison. Thanks, Donald. Appreciate it. This is the most nonsensical comment for what we've been discussing so far, which is kind of fun. But all right, I think we can dive into real specifics on DeFi in a minute, but I wanted Chris, that a lot of the people hanging backstage have joined recently, because we had a lot of NFT talk, and I'd love for you to give a quick, at least on a surface, difference between NFTs on Tezos versus NFTs everywhere else. What's the difference? Why Calumet? And then there's so many cool things to talk about, but I just want to at least a surface high level.
Yeah, and our founders actually came from Ethereum. They've been building on Ethereum for quite a while, and they saw the potential, not only going quote unquote green, but the upgradability, and that's what makes Tezos so important in this space. And I know people are so sick of hearing, oh, it's upgradable. But I mean, we've done more upgrades than the rest of blockchain combined in a 6-month period. It's crazy how much we've evolved. And when I say we, I mean Tezos has evolved as things move forward. Gas prices are falling, and transaction fees are just amazing. So I can send you Alon, I'm not going to do this, but I could send you $100,000 as a transaction, and it would cost me around a penny. It's just incredible what you can do, and it doesn't stifle innovation, and that's one of the greatest parts about it. You can be in a third world country and you want to create art, and on Calumet we store all of our information on chain, but it still only costs anywhere from 12 to 30 cents per edition to store everything on chain. We're TZIP compatible, we're running Pinata in the background, IPFS, and then our metadata is stored again on the Tezos blockchain, and we're looking for Arweave as redundancy. So there's so many things you can do when you're not hindered by gas costs, and you can keep evolving as the space moves forward. And that's what we're so excited about building on Tezos and with Calumet, is that we can do things the right way. We don't have to take shortcuts to, perhaps just put a hash on chain and then assign a whole bunch of information to it. We can actually store the data on chain and then, just tie it with other stuff. So this space is, I know that a lot of people don't see what's happening behind the scenes, but we're seeing so many people stack up just ready to launch on Calumet, or on Tezos in general, because the growth rate and the growth potential of this platform is just absolutely exponential. So we're pretty excited about it. I missed that last comment. I started to read it and then I started to I stopped reading
It was unrelated. Sorry, I should have waited till you weren't talking about that. But Kevin Wayland is mad that Kevin took Kevin.tez from him. But just to throw it out there, they still haven't done the 4-letter one, so I still don't have Alon.tez. I'm just waiting for the moment that I have all day meetings, or I'm at the park with my kids and I look at my phone and realize I missed it and somebody's spotting it. So, if anybody's watching and you end up with it, you better not.
If I see it, I'll make sure to grab it for you.
Thank you. I think I still have Calam.tez in my wallet. I think I grabbed a bunch the day of, and I remember maybe it's just Kala or Kal. Oh no, I can't because it's not 4-letter one. So it's Calam for sure. I think I got that one. I do the same thing. I just start grabbing them for all my friends. I think I got Joseph.tez and didn't tell him for like a month just to mess with him, which was pretty great.
But we need
Alchemist tweeted that he owns Elon Musk.tez. That's kind of awesome.
Interesting. No, the Kevin.tez though, that's an auction. I won that in an auction. I forget what I paid for it. I know in my mind it's like somewhere between a 39 and a 59. I see that kind of figure in my memory. So somewhere like between that, which was pretty good at the time. I think people needed to see precedent for like how high these auctions would go before they were willing to pay down what some of those auctions ended up becoming. The last ones to finish, some of those last ones to finish. Did we cross the 1,000? Yeah, I think we did cross the 1,000 Tez mark. And that's when Tez was how much? I think $2
or $3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is 90% of the time it's at $2 or $3.
Yeah.
So that was a good guess by me.
Yeah. So like people were putting down a few K on this like already. And now I think we're starting to see the aftermarket buying and selling already going on object.com, which is also where Tezos broke out. And I think Bazaar NFT is through there as well. And like they're bringing on so many things onto their platform. So they're pretty interesting into the space. Kind of a cool like little juncture ground where all things meet.
Yeah, so I
you guys Calumet have a
Yeah, they are showing our NFTs, but basically it works as a swap that, you know, they custody something for a second and then they can send it to somebody else after. So it's a very different contract, but yes, they are showing Calumet.
Yeah, there you go, interoperability.
That's right. No,
What
it's cool. You know, there's
you don't need a whole.
There hasn't yet been though that like moment on Tezos. I guess this there's been a few, but now this Tezos thing, this community, and it seems to be quite a bit. Do we have any data to know how many people from outside of the Tezos community are participating in these things, or is this, you know, are there new people coming in? Yeah, I'm interested in that. So, for example, my ape is doing an airdrop soon on Calumet, which I kept open, by the way. If you're in the chat, I'll share a chat so that you can join in. But I'm wondering how many people from other communities have come into Tezos and started participating. I've seen a little bit of it tangentially.
Well, I can tell you, like, just looking at the transactions per day, we're still at that steady point where it's like somewhere between 20 and 25% of what Ethereum is doing. So, and you know, Tezos, it's really good, like just per capita, as well as we see like through the independent dApps as an indicator. So there's either a lot of overlap between ETH users and Tez users, which is, you know, the case in part, or there's a lot of new people who are just new to crypto, but they do their ecosystem stuff through Tezos because that's how they're introduced. And why the hell would they go into something that would, not that it's bad, like not that there isn't massive value there, of course, that's why people who have been around are still there. But like they would just happen to have been introduced to things through Tezos. So that just became the entry point. And maybe they'll expand to other stuff later on. But like, I think there's a whole new kind of generation in a way that's just like, okay, we're talking about such short time periods. It's so interesting, thinking first generation, second generation of, you know, these platforms. But yeah, people are now getting, by the thousands, have been introduced to crypto in general just because of NFTs as artists coming in or as purchasers and patrons of those artists to Tezos, because they had to get a Tezos wallet, because they had to understand what Tez was, how to get it, how to trade it, how to sell it for something else that you might need, maybe how to do this other thing in DeFi. You know, who knows? So like, yeah, I think it's a mix of both, really. It's a bunch of new people, but it's also the people coming from Ethereum over to Tezos.
Yeah, so I've seen a few people that have popped over, you know, because they're artists themselves, they're making art, or they're people like me that are maybe a part of a community. It's like, I want to do a silly airdrop, I want to do something, I want to make my own art, and then they realize like, oh shit, it's going to be really expensive to do it the way I want to on Ethereum, and so they're doing it here. And I think more of that needs to happen because, in all honesty, like I told a portfolio company of ours today when we were talking about NFTs, I asked them, what do you want to do with the NFTs? If you're rewarding people, if you're, you know, using it for something like that, tickets or whatever, I said, Tezos 1,000,000% of the time, I'll argue that you have to do it that way. And if you're doing art and things like that, how long is your horizon? Because if you want people to be buying and trading it on like a secondary market kind of thing, like apes or CryptoPunks or whatever, today, then it's probably not going to happen on Tezos, because I didn't have an example of a single community that was doing that. Now there are. Now on Calumet, I bought some of those bears, those demented, what are they called again? Monsters. What?
Rocket monsters, and I was actually going to bring those up, but go ahead.
Yeah, and then now also everybody was tweeting at me that I need a Tezos and I need this, and I was like all pissed off because like I was offline for like 2 days. Not that I was offline, I was working like crazy for 2 days, so I didn't get to check into my NFTs, goof around or whatever. 2 days goes by and I missed out on the whole thing. So I bought one for a lot, and I got one, pretty cool sweater, by the way. And then, but I don't have. I only got one so far.
We had
but I got a few rocket monsters too in both of my wallets.
Well, just speaking of rocket monsters, is that's actually a really amazing project, and it happened so quickly. And they're working with the University of Texas, I believe, to help develop some stuff, and have teams of students that are contributing, and then they have their own developers, and it's just. You know, what I always always tell artists is make sure that there's utility in what you're doing. What is the purpose? Like if it's a great piece of art, make sure it's a really great piece of art, but you have to stand out. If you're going to create a collectible, what's the utility behind it? What's this? What's that? And Rocket Monsters it is absolutely killing it. You would not believe they're working with Unreal Engine 5 to build some of these spaces, building a game around it. You can create your own, collectible bear that goes through these. You can give it a rocket launcher arm and a blade for a leg, like all kinds of stuff. But the beauty and the effort that's going into these collectibles is absolutely insane. So it's going to be really, really cool, and I'm super excited about that project, as well as Tezotopia, which is also launched on Calumet, where you buy a parcel of land. You can buy your, portions of your army, or you could buy your portions of your army, and then you can go to the site, and all these things that are starting to work where it's a marketplace that can only be done if it's affordable. I can't spend $150 on something that should be $15 or should be $50 because it just defeats the whole purpose. Why would I not just go buy an Xbox or whatever? But this allows you to take that asset and trade it with somebody else. It's what the gaming industry has been dreaming of for a long time. That yes, I made that armor. I can take it with me if I go to another game, or I can sell it to somebody. Not on a market of a dying game, but it can be used somewhere else. So it's really, really beautiful. That's what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? Like when I give people that advice, I'm really short-term thinking it, right? Because I'm just thinking, are you taking advantage of the current hype and the current craziness on Ethereum versus what do you actually want to do? And if you're thinking long-term, if you're thinking about transacting regularly in a secondary market over a long period of time, I think it's going to move. That's the beauty of the interoperability. I think that the more interoperable the things move to, the more efficient places. And that's clearly going to be happening here. Yeah, my Tezos, by the way, it took me that whole time to load up the page. But my Tezos has an awesome like rainbow sweater with like flowers on it and stuff. It's like primo. But my monsters, I have all these extra monster things too that I think are going to do something. Do you have any insight, by the way, Chris, into what's going to happen with all those things? Like I've got an ice cream cone thing. I've got some like 10x card or something.
Yeah, I certainly do. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to give right now, but I will tell you that some of them will be given as rewards. Others will be upgradable, or a limited edition that you can't make in the game when you're creating. As far as I understand it, now don't quote me on this. Once a bear is created with certain attributes, nobody else can create that ever again. And you'll be able to create your bear with all these different, sheens, different crystals. I don't want to say too much, but it's going to be very customizable, and you're going to actually be able to battle. You're going to have, partners in battle that, maybe you and your friends can play, or maybe, you have this little automated helper type thing. So I purchased one today, and it was like, everybody needs a friend in combat. So I think that these are going to be with you as you're going through this and helping you fight. But the Unreal Engine 5 world that I saw in 3D that you're going to be able to run around, it's pretty incredible. It looks better than something you can get, in a game right now. And this is all being developed by a small team, being funded by Tezos, or by the Tezos they create off of the NFTs they make on Calumet. I mean, it's really incredible what it's doing for funding, where indie game developers can say, hey, I'm going to create some NFTs and see how much interest I have in my game. Now I've made all this money. Let me put together a team around that. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, it kind of bakes in the what the best practices for like Kickstarter and fundraiser campaigns for games used to be. So the best practices always was to give things away, give copies of the game in advance, or special access, or special characters or special levels or whatever it was. In the chat, somebody said Alchemist is watching. He just tweeted. What did he do?
I just saw. I want to give a shout out to JBXTZ because he put up a Tezos T-shirt. That's like something he did with this Tezos. That's pretty cool. It just popped up on my.
What?
This was important. I retweeted it, so you can check my Twitter at Mehrabi.
Oh, okay. If you want, you can share your screen and I can pop it up. But yeah, you can follow Kevin because all things Tezos, you want to be following Kevin for sure.
And I'll type it into the chat because now I learned that on a
if anybody's watching, by the way, like Alchemist and whoever else is watching on Twitter and everywhere else, come on over to meet.blockchainbooze.io because you can chat in the chat room with everyone. Later, you'll be able to hop on screen and say hi to people if you're into it. So it's always
and Alchemist. I own one of your comics, one of the first pieces of art ever sold, and I would love to talk to you about it. So please come over.
This dude I know may have minted a Alchemist theme song on Twitter one time, or on the Calumet one time. So you might find it lurking in Calumet somewhere, but the only one copy is in Alchemist's wallet. So just throwing that out there too. So guys, okay, let's jumping into Tezos. There's I think tons and tons of reasons why you might want to mint an NFT on Tezos. We'll see the fees and stuff like that. But there is a groundswelling of support. Just to throw it out there for groups, just so people can understand. Chris, you talked about that group being able to mint. Do you have general figures of how much they raised or how much money worth of NFTs they sold? And then Kevin, I think you had some data also on how many of the Tezos had sold or the amount of money or something like that. I'd like to know. I'd like
the floor price right now.
People to consider it. One of the big arguments back in the day for not considering building on even Ethereum or different places was just that there wasn't a precedent of people actually raising money. Here, there now is on multiple projects.
Yeah, I do not know exactly what they have raised, but I know that it's enough to get them going, and they do have a team that's passionate behind it. But I will tell you, our total number of sales is 10,645. Our volume is around 300,000. Our average sales price is around 30,000, and we're getting about 63 sales a day. Our biggest purchase has been 3,500 Tez, and our lowest purchase is 0.0001 Tez. So basically free or 3,500 Tez, which around $20,000 has been our biggest purchase. But what's beautiful about it is that when you buy artwork from our platform, it's meant to last forever. Like I said, the ways that we're storing data and doing all this, we are actually focused on the artwork, and we want it to last forever. We want this to be passed on from your grandkids, and fighting about who gets it in the will, that kind of thing. We wake up every day and we go, there's a right way and there's an easy way. But we will never choose the easy way. It's always about doing things the right way, and we might be a little bit slower, but we ask the community to bear with us because, we could cut corners, we could put everything on our own servers, but if we do that, it's sacrifice in the long run, and that's not what we're here for.
So obviously some groups are creating real volume on Tezos, we lost Kevin for a minute. Hopefully he'll hop back on. Well, we get to see your artwork back there. Here we go. I'll make you a little wide angle. You can see the all your art behind you.
Thank you. Kelsey J and Victoria West and Jake Andrews and Sabette. And I actually just got a couple more pieces in the mail today. A lot of our artists, when you buy something, they offer to send a physical print. These are, showroom quality prints. Met Sabet and had him do that in person. And Kelsey J sent that after the Pangea Seed event. So, it's just amazing, and I love our community so much. We're just getting stronger and stronger, growing faster and faster, and like I said, we're seeing pretty exponential growth. I probably should have shared those numbers with you too, but now that Kevin's back, I'll pass it on to him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna load the numbers because they screw up my memory with StreamYard. To the people at StreamYard, come on.
I know. You know what though?
I love the product. I get to go like this.
I get to go like this, and that's really fun.
Where else do you get to do that?
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly.
People
Way
know what
cooler
they're
than a
doing,
Zoom
man.
meeting.
It's just the one
don't
thing.
leave the goofy guy
lighter. Just a little bit of a lighter app, so I could multitask and bring up like cool charts and figures and stuff. It's like, I'll give you my time. I'll give you all of my bandwidth, but please, come on.
I know. It gets pretty silly. There you are. Sorry.
But anyway, I do think though that this is a really, like, we always go through these waves with Ethereum, with gas. And whenever that happens, it's like the next wave of seismic event where more people come in and discover like the cost efficient, if nothing else, platforms. And like, and it happens to align with other values too. Like it's more equitable based on its like staking economics. It's more green because of its staking economics. It's all these other things. But like ultimately what we have here, it's like, okay, yeah, well, whether it's Tezos, whether it's Polygon, whether it's Binance Smart Chain or another one of those Ethereum side chains, or a different platform altogether, Tezos, then like that's great. Or EOS, even, anything that like I think exposes people to like, hey, the Ethereum is not the be all end all. It's a component of things, but here's like another alternative. And if that's the case, and where we are, and I would show you if I could, but you can look it up. You can go on AaronX and look up. This is where I get all my data. It's like AaronX is.
It's the best data provider.
But we're at like 1/5 of Ethereum's transactions per day. It used to be like, not too long ago, like 1%. There was I think a year ago, if we got to 1%, I would have been like, wow, that's awesome. Now we're at like, we're like a fifth of the way there. We're at like 20% of what you're doing. We'll get there, but it's not, like even if it were just smaller than that, that's like Tezos doesn't need to grow like that. It just needs to grow right. So it's growing, it's satisfying, like at all these stages, and that's what's continually more rewarding than just a sudden boom, a sudden bust. But it's like there's people underneath, there's people working, and then
we were actually just eating it about 30%, and the transaction fees were still less than a penny, somewhere around there. I mean that's a usable blockchain, and that's what we're so excited about. And every single day we're like, oh God, thank God we use the right blockchain. And that's why we're building a metaverse on Tezos, where it's actually a decentralized metaverse that everybody can interact with each other and be affordable. So yeah.
So I'm looking through some of the questions. Actually, somebody's asking a question that I'm interested in. I know it's multiple steps of the way, but I know it'll be up Kevin's alley, but it also is exciting. Ryan in the chat, Ryan Coop Cooper. Thank you. Cheers, guys. Ryan asked, can he stake his own? Sorry, almost did a rude cheers and didn't take a sip. Pretty good. Figueroa Mountain, local brewery. So he asked if he could stake his own Calumet NFTs on the official Calumet website or on an affiliate/partner site. So obviously, I don't think that functionality exists today on Calumet. But Kevin, how long till there are staked NFTs on Tezos? I want to be able to take my Tethered, and if it's worth $1,000, borrow against it on Tezfin.
Yeah, so I was actually just thinking today. It's like, like it's due for. Am I saying that right? Like the time has come for me to take what I always refer to, which was an article from like late 2019 in which I outlined how we can put collateralized NFTs on chain and use them for collateralized loans and not worry about the volatility of the asset because we could because that would be set and appraised ahead of time. But I like a lot of things have changed since then, and I think even the variables I used, they're much like even better, like more practical examples. I was using like real estate NFTs. It doesn't matter what kind of NFT, but like it's just the fact that it's NFT collateralization, something that's variable on that level. And so it's like, and now there's other things we can do with fractionalizing those, and then so decentralizing that particular right of being a guarantor effectively. So I think I should put something out, within a week, I want to say.
So not to throw shade, but NFTs are already being fractionalized on certain platforms. Yeah. They really are. Like it's one bit of data stored and they're cut up 1 million times or 10,000 times, whatever.
And those are things that can be added, to collateralization. Yeah, more equity pieces. I think like these are just like new inventions, effectively. I mean, they keep coming out, and then there are different ways to chop them up this way and that way. So I think like I could load up the same mechanism with just like a practical example. Like say you have like a Calumet token, and then because I was using elevated returns. Like that's how long ago this was, because that's the only NFTs anyone like was talking about at all. Like I didn't even think about NFT art until it happened. It's like, oh, whoa, here we go. This is really ramping up. And it was in that fall of 2020. I think it's like a year ago that like we all started kind of like rising up to NFTs too. So I think like the language has changed and matured. Like we've all seen that. The way we describe them is different than it was a year ago, or even 6 months ago, for that matter. It's like if somebody comes in now, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" There's more lingo to learn. So yeah, it's always good to keep those updates.
But I think one of the things that we're worried about is when we sell an NFT, we call it an NFT. You know what I mean? And we're not selling something that's not an NFT. We don't fractionalize. We don't, do any of that. So when it comes to actually lending against an NFT, our biggest problem, because we're looking at all these kind of things, we have so many irons in the pot right now that it's ridiculous. But one of the things that we're worried about is that there's always bad actors. So I can buy a piece of artwork from you for 1,000 Tez, then send you the 1,000 Tez back. You can then buy it back from me. So how do we track that? You would have to have a third party or an outside source actually evaluating what was going on and saying, okay, this piece of artwork is actually worth this. It's been traded 5 times between the same account. The price keeps going up, which happens a lot with NFTs that come out. And it's people about like if I get 5 NFTs and I get 5 more, but these 5 I just sell and I flip and I sell and I flip and I sell and I flip. These 5 that I hold look like they're going up so much in value, but they're not. Like it's just me and my friends swapping back and forth. Maybe I pay a small fee, whatever. So that's the biggest problem when it comes to lending against an NFT. Now, when an NFT actually represents our real, asset, then yeah, absolutely, we can do that. But when it's a digital asset, there's too many.
I think there's too many. There's so much that can be manipulated, but also there are certain projects where they can be where they can be sort of greenlit, and then there needs to be at least a single or very small group of sources of liquidity in the space, right? So if all Tezos NFT volume is on Calumet or on Object or on one single place or a couple single places, easier to separate the real from the fake. And there are certain projects, right, where you can and certain values, and you can really look at something like the Bored Apes, right, as just a good example, or CryptoPunks, and go, okay, price is generally rising, but there's dips and there's whatever. and then a lender would do what they do with any kind of crypto and go, okay, we will give you a loan up to 50% of the value or something. If it dips below that 50%, they liquidate, right? But there has to be a liquid market. So 90% of NFTs, 99% of NFTs wouldn't fall under that. And then you would either have to like get it insured or something, and then we fall into what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it goes back to, okay, well, I'm going to loan against this NFT that says, you know, it's worth $10,000. I'm going to loan against that NFT. I'm going to take out a $20,000 loan, but I know this NFT isn't worth anything because I just bought it from my buddy 10 times to make it look like it's worth 10,000. So I loan you loan me the you loan me the 20,000, and I go, I'm just not paying you back. I just made $20,000.
Well, you don't necessarily, And when you say between friends, you mean just between wallets of the same person who's sitting in the room by themselves.
That was a hint, wink, wink. No, I'm just kidding.
But that's called wash trading. That happens in DeFi and crypto when there's thin. But that's the liquidity issue. People who are experienced enough in DeFi can look at something and go, oh, there's only this paper thin liquidity. And if I want to buy more than $20 worth of the token, I'm going to dump the price, right? Or pump the price, or vice versa. So it's but that's in general what happens in these immature markets. But that changes over when there's actual real projects.
Yeah, that made my computer crash. I have to go to a different computer just to come back to StreamYard. But I prepared for that, so I made sure I was loaded up on the other computer too. So I am adapting to.
You are adapting. That's right. So I want to throw. I'm going to throw some. This is a really easy question. It's still more on the Chris side, but Chris, Ryan is asking also, how do you get verified as an NFT artist on Calumet? He's waiting. You guys have a lot of people on the waiting list?
It's actually about a 10-minute application process if you want to get verified. And basically all we are doing is verifying that you are the person that you're representing on our platform. It's to fight copy minting, it's to fight bots, all this kind of stuff. If it's been more than 24 hours, almost all of our applications get verified within 12 to 24 hours. If it's been longer than that, then generally it's because there wasn't enough information for us to verify that you are the person that you're representing. So if you didn't include social media or
Chris, DM. I said Chris, but I meant Coop.
Me?
Message Chris. DM him on Twitter. Make it happen.
Yeah, so my Twitter is at @LongShotParadox, LongShotParadox. And I'm always open to DMs. It might take me a minute to get back. I've got a whole bunch right now with the promotion change. I've got quite a bit of influx coming into my mailbox. So please reach out to me if it's been more than 12 to 24 hours. And if you haven't included your social media or portfolio, just reapply. Pretty easy. 12, 24 hours.
Do they get like a notice that says like they're like what was incomplete, or is it like just under?
No, because sometimes they have a social media, but maybe they've got one follower and they've never posted anything on social media that lets us know. So we don't like to reject things. But we have to look further. Like I go back day to day and I look back and say, okay, I didn't approve this one. And then maybe I send a message and I say, hey, did you apply? Can you, so some of those take a little bit longer.
I see.
Yeah.
Because if you did it for like everybody, you'd be telling even the ones that like, okay, no, you got to really want it. Look up the info yourself. Okay. If this matters that much to you and you're going to use this thing, you should have look that up to see what the criteria factors are.
I had an artist one time that the name was Sweet Old Granny. And can I cuss on here, Alon?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
I mean, it's not like a cuss thing, but it was Sweet Old Granny. And then it was like, I'm just a 70-year-old lady, blah, 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 doing this. And then the email name was Big Dick Larry. And I was like, look, this isn't going to work. Like, no, that was a big red flag for me.
I feel like that was somebody that was somebody trolling for sure. Did somebody in the chat say hat? That's all I was asking.
I was about to say, you haven't plugged Lunar Crush. Yeah, you got to say Lunar. I said you haven't plugged Lunar Crush. So
not enough at all. Normally at this point I would have said Lunar Crush.
You're saying Lunar Crush
billion times. So let me just do
Lunar
this
Crush, right? Yeah, and that says Lunar Crush, Lunar Crush, Lunar Crush, Lunar Crush, Lunar Crush. Okay, so yes, Lunar Crush is an amazing company that everybody should look at. They are tracking everything all the time, and make sure you just go take a look. And if you need a bot that will give you all the information you need on whatever cryptocurrency you need, please look into Lunar Crush. It's a fantastic project, and they keep getting better and better as well, just kind of like the Calumet platform. So Calumet and Lunar Crush.
I challenge you at this moment to go onto Twitter and ask the Lunar Crush bot to tell you about Tezos. It's one of the most fun things to do ever.
I know you do.
Maybe on a day like today, it won't look so great for the 24-hour charts, but that'll be like that across the whole crypto market. So,
Okay. So here's a moment in which I got some self-awareness and vanity, because one of the features I frequent is the influencers section that gives stats on that. No, but I was thinking like, wow, wouldn't it be great if Lunar Crush bot could like show you like a snapshot of like the top influencers? And then I realized, oh my God, I'm describing like the evil witch in Snow White, or the like mirror, mirror on the wall. It's like isn't that the same thing? It's like, okay,
you should ask the Lunar Crush bot, say mirror, mirror on the wall, Lunar Crush bot.
Lunar Crush bot on the wall. Who's the most influential one of all?
That's right. Wait, hold on.
And then Blind Ripper beats me. Or Niraj.
Yeah, you gotta tweet that. I'm not gonna try to do that live right now. But I was about to. But I get Lunar Crush alerts actually. Total side tangent. I agree with you, Jim. I want that too. We're gonna make that happen. So what's really cool about Lunar Crush is that you can set alerts. So I set Tezos alerts and stuff. Like if it goes up a certain amount of dollar value in a certain period of time, like in 1 hour, or if the Lunar Crush Galaxy score goes up a certain period of time, whatever it is, and then I get texts from the Lunar Crush bot, which I named in my phone Brobot. And so Brobot texts me about 8 times a day, giving me alerts on different cryptocurrencies, mostly Tezos, and it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it even if you're like me and you're a long-term holder, you're not really playing the crypto markets on a day-to-day basis. It's just super fun. Kevin, we keep losing you. But hey, I want to jump into the QA. Anybody who is listening and in the chat at meet.blockchainbooze.io, feel free to hop into the chat and let's make some fun questions happen. One of you guys
throw me the softballs and ask Kevin the really hard ones.
I like it. So
a little dangerous.
Christina's asking Kevin. I want to get an answer to this. This will actually be a good one. How can the average person understand what is Tezos?
Everyone like has a different language that they start with and what they can relate things to. So I think the fact of what makes someone average is that they have a unique way of learning something. That's pretty average. So I've found like in so many conversations I've had, it's kind of like what works best for you. And that's okay. There are things that are like basic. I see people like in the NFT space coming into it as artists understand quicker, faster, better than I did when I was picking it up. And I was like, oh my God, like, and you know what? It's because artists can think in terms of abstraction. and layers of abstraction and how those layers of abstraction interact with each other. Well, like that's the kind of imagination you need to often understand something that's abstract and is complicated, or seemingly on the outset that some people incorrectly think is intimidating. It's not. Like that's what a blockchain is. That's how you learn this stuff. So I think maybe I'd love to see, I think infographics are great, more practical and not as a usable answer. Looking for those kinds of indicators that can give you a lot of information and a lot of context in a quick graphical way. That's a good way to get like a backbone structure. And then from there, learning about like, okay, where can I go and get new information? Following certain people you trust, and then you get from that, and you kind of graduate like at the information sources that you like on your own. Then you're finding new stuff. You're like, oh wait, this is not another way. This is a better way. Everyone's kind of like information mining too. So, but that's okay. We're all in that stage. So that's kind of what's fun about it. It's like we're all learning this stuff now, and we're learning it together and helping each other. So dive into community. Go to the social media for Tezos, different Discords, Twitter.
I will say that the biggest differentiator for me with Tezos, there are definitely things that make the technology different. And 2 years ago, when I was talking about Tezos versus Ethereum, and it was 99% theoretical, I went, okay, great, like wonderful, like cool, it's different, it's better, and you hear that all the time, but there is a huge argument to better doesn't always win in technology. It happens all the time with programming languages and different products, and community is, in my opinion, a lot more important to these groups. And every time I met somebody in the Tezos community, it was someone that was extremely thoughtful. It was some of the smartest people I ever met in my life. And so that's why I started paying attention very, very early to Tezos. A big part of that is hanging with Kevin in Los Angeles and him pointing out a lot of people. When Joseph and I went on a trip pre-COVID, so it was almost 2 years ago now, we went to London and then around Europe, and then we went to Israel for a few days. We hung out with some of the Tezos Israel team. And just every single person we met building on Tezos was someone we felt like we wanted to hang with. And so when we met Calumet, we invested in them. We, full disclosure, invested in Kevin's company also. I should have said that at the beginning for full disclosure, but we already threw that investor thing on there anyway too. But I fell in love with what can be built on Tezos, but the community first. And I think that we're finally at this inflection point. We keep saying it, but it keeps moving a little further because of just crypto in general. We're all used to Ethereum and all that. But what was going on in Ethereum a year ago was tiny compared to what it is today. And a year before that, it was minuscule. And a year before that, it was non-existent. But even today, when we look at the alternative investment space, and I always say this when I'm in investor meetings and not looking like a homeless person dressed silly, is that, we're trying to change an alternative investment market. And if we want to get nerdy and look at the data, in the United States alone, the alternative investment market is about $7 trillion a year. And that's old data. We've pumped trillions into the economy just in the last year. So it's even larger now. But if you look at the uninflated, probably still inflated from previous governments and things, alternative investment space, it's a $7 trillion a year market. The whole crypto market doesn't even touch it yet. And that's just US alternatives. So we start spending out, we're at the very, very beginning of everything. So even on Ethereum, even all of blockchain combined, it's still a minuscule market that is growing and will be exponentially larger 10 years from now. And Tezos is to me, it's happening. It's just at the inflection point. There's just the monsters and the Tezos and stuff like that happening on NFTs. And there's just, plenty and wrap starting and a little bit of ProofSwap happening and all these things happening on there. But TezFin didn't even launch yet, right? And these tools haven't even existed yet. And I think that's what's really exciting, like everything percolating. and everything getting ready to bubble up, hopefully, right? To keep the analogy going. I think it's an exciting time. And to me, the community is different and a little more thoughtful. And because where we're going, the road has already, at least there's a glimpse of it on other blockchains and what's possible. And I think that there's always that second wave or third wave, however you want to call it, where you exponentially grow these things and blow things up and get more to the consumer. And I think that Tezos is more, now if we're looking at the technology, more ready for consumer than Ethereum is. Ethereum wants to be there, but I don't think it's ever going to be. It's always going to be like a middle layer for,
I think one of the most attractive parts as an NFT platform is there's no need to hard fork. It's a consensus among all the users. So there's no need to hard fork. So if there's a hard fork on another chain, then you have this NFT over here and this NFT over here. And you're trying to decide who owns the NFT. If it's sold on one chain, it goes this way, can be sold on the other chain to go this way. And that's not good for business. And that's one of the things that was so amazing about coming over is the fact that, the NFTs are here. And as the actual blockchain upgrades, there's no hard fork. There's no worrying who's got custody over this, who's got custody over that. This blockchain can get better to upgrades to the protocol. And that's one of the most important parts, I guess, for us as an NFT.
Has there been an example yet where maybe because we're just finally at a sort of a certain level where it makes sense, but like, has there been a hard fork on Ethereum yet where like OpenSea disagrees with like more than half the community, goes, we're going to actually just honor this one instead of that one. Like we're going full Ethereum classic. I don't know, making things up, but has that quite happened yet since the amount of money and the maturity has been this large? It's kind of a scary thought, right?
The thing is, for it to have, for it to have a negative impact, it doesn't even matter what OpenSea decides, because the argument is this supersedes that. This is something more to the trunk. It's fundamental. They don't even know which reality they're in. That's fine, because the blockchain exists here. And if that is true or becomes true, because the answer can change, which blockchain is the authoritative one, quote unquote.
John says he still wants his money back from the DAO hack. Sorry, I didn't mean it.
So that's what the problem of hard forks. That's why they're what kicked off the Tezos project at the time to such a big start, to what was a record, and by some measure still is a record for fundraising, $232 million in just 3 weeks. Which is now grown over time through good stewardship to over $1 billion. I think close to $2 billion at this point, somewhere in that. I don't know. I haven't seen the latest, but last report, like over $1 billion. So that's great. That's good, strong growth. That's healthy growth. I think what we need to see now is probably just a test of the hard fork, because we have this massive war chest with what that crowd sale money has become. We have this community of people who believe the same. That we shouldn't have to hard fork every time we want to upgrade something. And ultimately we have to have we shouldn't have to hard fork, we always upgrade. So we shouldn't have to have these types of contentions, which could lead to what's always like the question of an existential threat. And even the speculation of that can be disastrous for different kinds of markets, because people pull out at times of uncertainty. So I think now, once we see get closer to that finishing line of ETH 2.0, we'll start to see the real contention start to come in over different hard forks that are going to lead up to it. Or whatever else they decide as they modify the plan yet again later on. But it's a hard thing to do what they're doing. So
well, I think that they did something before anyone else did, and that was a great first version. And I think that it's even a great version today. And I don't even want to say anything negative, but I think that there is, because I'm a huge believer in it. And I'll tell everyone every day. I lump in Tezos into this, but I say, if you're just going to hold 3 coins, and the coins that you hold long term should be Bitcoin, should be Ethereum, and should be Tezos. And I don't think that holding Ethereum is a bad idea, and I don't think holding Tezos is a bad idea. Obviously, I'm very deep in, but I think those are the important ones, and I'm probably missing some other ones out there. But we've discussed this in previous blockchain.
I can see this also for Ethereum. That's really like great. This the guy wearing the Tezos t-shirt and the Tezos thing in the background. I'm self-aware, but it's like take the investment side away from things. Okay, take it like investing as an asset like as an investor. You want a big gain or something. Just take that out. As a utility, there's never going to be a time, I can't imagine, where it's not like you're always going to have some ETH because you never know when you need it, or you're probably going to need it, kind of thing. It's like you got to fill up, your tank of ETH. To have that kind of resonance with the crypto community, no matter what you advocate, that's going to go away. It's just going to be added, stuff's going to be added on, and maybe like, what you maybe cord cut to would be something else, but you're always going to have something. You can always go back, to the other platform. So that's an achievement commercially, financially, technologically, and that's just like a solidified place with the crypto community, even at this scale, even though they're only at like 1.2 million transactions per day. And I think the same for users, I want to say. I don't know. But it's,
I think we're, like I said, we're crazy early days. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I want to make sure we get some other questions here. We answered one question. I have a lot to add to that, but we answered one question. So let's see if we can get another question really quickly.
Okay, let's throw in another question, but we don't even need to, because also just throwing out there for anybody watching, come to meet.blockchainbooze.io, because in a second we'll switch over to Chris trying to sneak. Sorry, I'll give it more time next time. Hold on. Wait, where did we were messing with this earlier. I'm trying to remember what I click on to do this kind of thing. Here we go.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But we will be jumping onto tables for anyone who still has time and can turn on their cameras in the community. I wanted to see if there's anything on here. No, most of these questions are things we've covered in various degrees. Let me just
Well, while you're looking, I want to say Lunar Crush, and then I want to say Calumet. That's what I want to say. Go sign up at Calumet. We also have a raffle going on. Hey, beautiful! That's a beautiful hat. Where's that from? Oh, Lunar Crush. So we have a raffle going on. You can go to calumet.io and click the tab at the top that says raffle. And for 10 raffle tokens, or 10 Calum tokens, you can enter the raffle. And that raffle is for a Victoria West piece. This piece got banned on another platform. And I reached out to Victoria a long time ago. And I said, hey, I know a platform that would be happy to have that. And that's what brought Victoria West.
Can you say platform?
I won't do that just because that's bad manners. But it was another platform. You can look into the story.
Chris is a Southern gentleman.
I'm sorry?
You're too Southern.
No, it's just I don't throw shade. We do our job well, and we don't care how poorly everybody else does it, because eventually the community is going to see that we do things.
But wouldn't they want to own it? Wouldn't they want to own that policy? Like, don't bring that up.
Apparently not. It was reinstated later, and it was reinstated later because of public backlash. However, it was brought over to our platform, and we said, you know what, we support artists, blah, blah, blah. So we've purchased the piece. It is up, calumet.io, KALAMINT.io, and click the raffle tab at the top. It takes 10 Calum tokens. You get entered in the raffle. Your name gets put on the list. This Friday, we are doing a live pull. Basically, we're going to pull from an RNG, and we bought that piece for 1,000 Tez, and we probably got a steal on it. So it's a piece of history. It's what brought Victoria West to us. She's one of the top photographers in the world. Actually won a medal at at the World Photographic Cup. And not for this piece, but another piece, but absolutely amazing. It's hashtag Meet2. Also look at Tezotopia, look at Rocket Monsters. There's so many things that we have going on in Calumet, and it's about a 5 to 10 minute application, and we'll get you approved within 12 to 24 hours. So we invite everybody to come over, and please also look at Lunar Crush.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. You know what? Let's Kevin, give us a plug for Stable Tech, of course, and everything that you're working on before we hop off and jump to tables.
Yeah. So, well, let me talk about Plenty. You can do double rewards now for USD Tez and ETH Tez on Plenty. So they started their DEX. So it's like an alternative to Kipu Swap. So like a Bancor or Uniswap on Tezos. And so funding those liquidity pools, you can put in USD Tez, ETH Tez, and your Tez and get rewards in Plenty token. So if you believe in the project and you think it's going to go up, that's something that to look into. And yeah, so there's that. You can get your USD Tez, ETH Tez at tezx.io. It's a cross-chain bridge, and on-chain bridge as well. So you can get ETH Tez with ETH. You can just convert that over. You can get USDC and trade that over for USD Tez. You can also we have a WBTC and TZBTC contract, which I put a vote out on Tezos Exchange at Tezos Exchange on Twitter to see if people would accept % fees on that. I think that's either finished or it's finishing up. I think last I saw was yes, because people want it so much, but maybe there's a better alternative to having these liquidity providers have to pay 65 basis points for to buy up the TZBTC. So also plugging USD Tez on liquidity baking. So if you're a baker, look into that or look for that. And you can see the topic proposal at Tezos Agora. Yeah, that covers it.
Awesome. So, but make sure to follow Chris. Make sure to follow Kevin on Twitter and everywhere, because there's tons of information, not just about Calumet and Stable Tech, but Tezos in general that you'll want to hang with. And if you follow me, I've been talking about Tezos a lot too. So thanks guys for joining me today. If you've got time, hang out with us. Everybody else, meet.blockchainmoves.io. You'll be able to turn on your camera and microphone and hang with the stragglers like me who will be backstage hanging out. Thanks everyone. Guys, I will see you soon. Congratulations on all the kick-ass work and the successes. And Chris, congrats again, CEO. Here's congrats, man.
Praise be to His Eminence.
Thanks everyone. Go to meet.blockchainmoves.io.